I don't suppose you have any trouble getting them up for this one, do you? Regardless of positions on tables, etc.
No, there's a healthy rivalry and a healthy respect too. I think we take note of the fact that Gold Coast have really improved this year. Their percentage is over 100. They've been very competitive in every game that they played. They gave us a footy lesson in the first half of our pre-season game just before the start of the year, and we know that they're keen to get our scalps. So we know we have to play well because we want to get theirs.
And occasionally it's a little intense too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think that's just natural across the country, isn't it? With all the derbies and the clashes and whatnot. It's just young men wanting to prove that they're better than the mob down the road. So I think it's really good and healthy for Queensland footy.
4 in a row. Sorry, do you have to keep them sort of level? It's good.
I think our leadership group are a really mature group now, and they understand the ebbs and flows of attitudes and the challenges that every week brings in AFL footy. So they were very early in the week onto we've won 4 in a row, but we've got to keep going. We've got to keep our heads down. We're in good form. We've got to try and make the most of it while we are. So I trust those guys to a large degree to make sure that attitudes are right, and I would be surprised this weekend if they weren't.
Chris, Jared Lyons, the guy that comes into focus often this week. How has he performed compared to your expectations when he came to the club?
To be honest with you, I didn't know a lot about Jared Lyons. I knew he was a bit of a journeyman, that he'd been at Adelaide and he'd been at the Gold Coast. I thought he was a pretty decent midfielder. I think since he's been at our club, he's grown considerably into one of the smarter midfielders going around. He's a little bit unheralded, and people don't give him the plaudits that other midfielders get. But in terms of consistency, in terms of leadership, he's been excellent from the day he arrived at the club.
Do you think that part of his success is you guys viewed him differently than he was viewed when he was at the Suns? As you say, he developed into one of the smartest midfielders in the game at the moment, but he was almost to previous clubs viewed as surplus to demands. Did you guys think there's something different about him and you viewed him differently? That's why there's been success.
Well, it's hard to know because I don't really know how they viewed Jared. He became available late to us, so it's hard for me to comment. I can only take him on the player and person that he's been since he arrived at our club, and he's been A grade in every regard. So that's just how I see him, and it's not a reflection of any thoughts that I have about the Suns and their decision making.
Talking about midfielders, you've certainly had a great month, not a great season, but is it down to anything in particular? Do you think?
No, I think it's just a continuation of his development. This is his 5th season. Every year he's got a little bit bigger and stronger. Every year his confidence has grown and his belief in himself. And I just think what's happening is natural growth, really. He's a hard worker, and he wants to be the best version of himself that he can be every time he plays. So it's pretty easy to coach a bloke like that when he has that attitude.
Have you noticed a difference since Lockie's been out injured, and has he taken since Lockie's been out injured? Have you noticed a difference
in Hugh?
Taking on more responsibility.
I've probably noticed a difference in a lot of them. I mean, the thing about it is, and what we understand, it's a 6-month season, it's a marathon, and you're going to lose players along the way, and then other players have to come in and step up. And we haven't had too much of that sort of challenge over the last couple of years, but this year we have, because we have a few injuries, and I think our players have really embraced that idea, and a lot of them see it as their opportunity because they've been starved of that for 24 months, really. And so if we want to become a great club, you've got to have depth, and you've got to be able to have players who can step up when you do get those injuries. And so far so good for us.
You haven't had to play without Lockie since he came until now, so do you expect that midfield chemistry to continue improving in the next few weeks? Have you had a couple of weeks without him?
I think so. I mean, Dev Robertson's been in the team for most of the year, so he's sort of starting to feel at home now, and Reece Matheson's been around our club for such a long time and really knows how we roll. So he's played 50 games, which he achieved last week, and he's 23, 24 years of age, pretty mature sort of a guy. So I think that they know they've been put into roles that they understand, and they've been able to step up. Is how I'd describe it.
Standard weekly question: how's Jared Berry?
Yeah, no, well, he was out running this morning, but he still looks like he's a little way off. I couldn't make a prediction on when he'd be available, and I dare say when he is, he's probably going to have to play in the reserves for a week or two, depending on how we're travelling at the time with our own injuries. So I really don't know.
Is that becoming a concern for you and for him as it's sort of 3 or 4 weeks now? Because
Well, it was good to see him running reasonably well today, so I'd say that's a step in the right direction. So there'd be some optimism around it, but the nature of these groin injuries, as everyone knows in footy, they sort of make up their own minds when they're going to come right, I guess, in a way.
You've got to say anything to them after this Richmond incident at the weekend about them going out, because they've got a high profile around town now, haven't they, your team?
Yeah, I guess they have. Look, that's a conversation that we have with them every year, and the leadership group, more importantly, have that conversation with all the younger guys and talk to them about the pitfalls of late nights at nightclubs and things like that. So I'm very hopeful. The culture we've tried to build is really one that's controlled by the players, and that other than giving them a little gentle nudge every now and then, that they'll look after that side of things themselves.
Ryan, that's 150 games that you play. It's good sort of effort over time.
Yeah, it's his 11th season, so I think I worked out that he's averaged 13.6 senior games per year, and he's had one Brownlow vote in that time. So, look, he's one of the greatest and finest characters I've met in football, that bloke. He's so persistent. There's been many times when he's played in the reserves, but when he does, he leads from the front, plays his best, works his way back into the seniors, and over the last 2 or 3 years, he's become a really important part of our team. He's a general down back. He organises everybody. He's a great man on and off the field. I think when Lee Matthews was coach of this club, he had Sean Hart, who was sort of like the heartbeat of the team. I feel like Ryan Lester's our modern day Sean Hart, really. He genuinely cares about his teammates and the club, and he does everything he can to make himself good and us as good as we can be.